Hey, it's Tim Miller with the Bulwark. We've got a breaking news story about the newish Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, and once again, he is wrapped up in conspiracies, extremism, bigotry, and oh yeah, homophobia. Obviously, he's obsessed with the gays. Let's back up. Here's the story. It's from my friend Andrew Kaczynski over at CNN. He's broken this. Johnson wrote the intro to a book called The Revivalist Manifesto by a Louisiana blogger. I guess he's my neighbor. I got to keep my eye out. Scott McKay. In this book, you always got to be careful with manifestos. He advanced the far-right Pizzagate hoax, which I discussed in an earlier video this week that Elon Musk was also pushing, that the Democrats had organized some child sex trafficking ring in the basement of a pizza parlor in D.C. that doesn't actually even have a basement. So the book was advancing this. It was advancing a lot of racist views, which we'll get into, some homophobic views. Mike Johnson wrote the foreword to the book, writing, Scott McKay presents a valuable and timely contribution with the Revivalist Manifesto because he has managed to articulate well what millions of conscientious, freedom-loving Americans are sensing. During a podcast episode that he dedicated to the book, he said, I obviously believe in the product or I wouldn't have written the foreword, so I endorse the work. Not exactly subtle. Well, what is this work that he's endorsing? Well, here's the section on Pizzagate, which we discussed. McKay wrote, the Pizzagate scandal was born, and maybe some of the most outlandish allegations were dispute-proven, but other elements were not. What other elements were not, actually? Like, the whole point of this was that Hillary Clinton and John Podesta were organizing a child sex ring in a pizza parlor, and that's not true. So it's unclear what the other elements are that he's talking about. Then we have the anti-gay material. The book calls Pete Buttigieg a queer choice for the cabinet. They said that Pete had queer sanctimony and was openly and obnoxiously gay. I wonder if I'm obnoxiously gay. How can you be gay without being obnoxious? Pete is kind of, not that this really is neither here nor there, but Pete might be the least obnoxiously gay person I've ever encountered in my entire life. In fact, many people on the left during the campaign, some of these weirdo far left progressives, criticized him for not being gay enough, for staying in the closet too long. And said that he was part of the patriarchy or something. So I don't know what Mr. McKay is looking for and what Mike Johnson feels. Maybe it's some question for Mike Johnson. What is obnoxiously gay about Pete Buttigieg? But this is a guy that thinks that gay sex should be illegal and actually advocated for that. Maybe Mike Johnson is the person we should turn to for the definition of obnoxiously gay. Anyway, the book also calls him Gay Mayor Pete Buttigieg, of course. Very nice. Black folks also aren't treated very well. Another section of the book takes aim at poor voters. I think you'll see who he's really talking about here when he says poor voters. I don't know that he's talking about poor white voters, because he calls them unsophisticated and susceptible to government dependency. He says that these unsophisticated voters are easily manipulated by boulderizing old monuments, or midnight basketball, or Black Lives Matter defunding the police pandering. I think he's talking about poor white folks when he talks about midnight basketball and Black Lives Matter and taking down racist monuments, or do you think he's just talking about poor black people that are unsophisticated? Not exactly a subtle dog whistle there. I think that we can read between the lines of the racist bullshit that Scott McKay is putting forth there. There's other stuff. He makes fun of half Native American cabinet secretary, saying she's half oppressed, and says that McCain used the time as a prisoner of war as a get out of jail free card. It's one of those things where sometimes, just in my darker moments, you wish it was people like Scott McKay that ended up being taken prisoners of war. But unfortunately, happens to the best among us, not the worst. So there it is. Once again, Mike Johnson, his covenant eyes are watching him, and the eyes are seeing something extreme, conspiratorial, and anti-gay. And, I just think that the baggage that this guy is carrying is going to be a real problem for Republicans in swing districts and suburban districts, saying that they've put this guy forth to run the House, to be second in line in the presidency, given his just unbelievably extreme views on gay rights, on abortion, on transgender rights, and now being a proponent of the Pizzagate hoax, among other conspiracies. There's your Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. Have a good weekend. Come back next week. We will have more here at the Bulwark. Hey, if you like this video and our content, I'd love for you to become a Bulwark Plus member. You get bonus podcasts, you get bonus newsletters, you get bonus takes from me that maybe don't come up on the YouTube feed. You can try it out for free at thebulwark.com/free trial. The link is below in the description. We'd love to have you as a member of our community. We have great commenters and great opportunities for people who want to protect democracy.